Vilify American business. It's the only way back to prosperity, according to Jack and Susie Welch. Jack, of course, was the CEO of General Electric for more than 20 years. Susie is the former editor of the Harvard Business Review, and they are both founders of the Jack Welch Management Institute at Strayer University. Welcome back from summer vacation.
Thank you.
So you've been out there. Do business leaders really feel vilified right now? Is it that bad?
The polarization is incredible. I mean, this administration has gone through insurance companies, hospital companies, oil companies, you pick them. Who's been missed in the assault? So of course there's some feelings in business that they're not very well liked. Vilified might be an overstatement, but certainly been challenged.
And I don't think it's just by the administration. I think there's a cultural movement where it is very acceptable and popular to have business as the bad guys, and so I think it's a both and. You know, it's coming from above and it's coming from your neighbors alongside, and so I do think that people in business have their backs up because of it.
Why has it just become so acceptable to be able to either talk about business in a way that might be derogatory in some ways? Why do so many people do it now? Well,
first of all, we've forgotten how we got to this prosperity. In the end, big business is the source of prosperity. My money doesn't create on trees. Money comes from successful businesses paying taxes, the employees paying taxes. So we've forgotten some of that. We've forgotten the process. And there are several reasons why people have a rationale, if you will, to hate business. There's the tenets of socialism are out there. Spread the wealth. There's too much greed. We have phrases like corporations aren't people. We have phrases like you didn't build that. We have lots of phrases that are driven very broadly to point out the fact that there's an inequality. We want more spread the wealth.
I think that actually I was just reflecting that when I was in business school, which was 30 years ago or so, 25 years ago, there was actually a course on depictions of business in the media. And so we looked at movies and books. And back then, there were still, business was sort of the bad guy. So this is not a brand new thing. I mean, it's always been a Daddy War's book kind of, a view of business. The reason why it's intensified right now is, I think, because of the political environment. And so you're hearing a lot about, because Mitt Romney's in business, whether or not business is good or bad. That's what's heightened it. But as Jack said, there's a group of people who adhere to some or all of the tenets of socialism, which has leveling aspects to it. Some people have very personal reasons for not liking business. They've been laid off. They had a terrible boss. They've seen greedy, dumb people get ahead. They just feel like business is where people get burned.
I love it in the column. You have the example of the guy down the hall that was playing beer pong, or was like the sports guy, or that guy, and then he goes on and he's like this hedge fund genius.
Before we get to that one, okay. There's a third one. A lot of things happened in the downturn here, the worst downturn since the Great Depression, where people lost their homes, their jobs. So, holy cow, why did that happen? Did the banks do it? Did the regulators do it? People don't ever feel regulators do anything bad to them, or Washington does something bad to them. So the banks are a great target. Throw things at the financial institutions, whether they be hedge funds, private equity, or whatever. But that fourth thing you were just talking about, I'll give that one to you.
Yeah, I mean, I think that fourth comment that you made about which we talk about in the column this week, is that, there is this, there is the intellectual elite, if you were, the people who are basically in the media and government. And these are it's sort of a group of people, we've observed this, who went to college and they were very earnest in college and worked very, very hard and ran the college newspapers and ran the clubs. And then they graduated and they went off into journalism, fight the good fight, or government fight the good fight.
Thank you. I'm fighting the
You're
good
fighting
fight.
You are, Jen. And
she's in television.
Right, I know. She's fighting the
try print.
The slightly less good fight, But then what happened is, life was bumping along and everything was great, and you have your bylines or whatever, and you've got a nice position, or you're working in a nonprofit, and then you sort of start hearing through the grapevine, sort of 10 or 15 years out, that ding dong down the hall, the one who played beer pong, the party animal, the guy who you just thought was a complete moron, he's like a billionaire, and he's flying his kids to Aspen in a G4, and it just seems so unfair. fair. It's like how business rewards people who just put on a suit and chum around, because I know that guy doesn't have a moral bone in his body. I know that guy is stupid and he never fought the good fight. And look, business rewards him. And I think that
and they influence.
That view really is in their bones, and so then they influence. Now we push back in the column and say, okay,
let's get the pushback.
Well, that's just a little tiny wedge of Wall Street. Okay, that's not all business. Most business is, real companies that make real things and services. It's sports teams. It's summer camps.
It's a corner grocery store.
Its business is not those hedge fund guys.
Little entrepreneurs. It's women with starting a second business. There's all kinds of small businesses. Business is good. Without business, we have nothing. It's the engine of society. It's what gives back.
All of this, though, is happening against the backdrop of a presidential election.
Right.
So how can, you're Romney supporters. Do you think that he can capitalize on this at all? Is there any way for him to take advantage of this?
No. What he can do, though, is make the clear connection as to what his policies would do to everyday people in the streets who need a job. This country needs jobs. We can't have 23 million people unemployed or underemployed. We've got to give people jobs. And the policies we have now aren't going to give jobs. And he's got to make the connection, though. He's got to make it not between him and another CEO. He's got to make the connection between himself and the person on the floor whose neighbor is out of work and isn't being called back because it isn't going fast enough. So he's going to make that come alive. His policies, whether they be drilling for more gas and oil domestically, whether they be anything else, he's got a broader tax reform, whether it be less regulation. He's got to bring up 10 regulations of the Obama administration, lay them out. And if we got rid of these 10 regulations, what have they done to kill jobs so that people feel it?
All right, well, he's got a couple more weeks to do it. Jack and Susie Welch, thank you so much. Very interesting column, and it's good to have you back.
Thank you.
Thank you. Nice to see you, Jen.
I'm Jen Rogers. This is Reuters.